towards a Jax or a Camille as an answer, something that has a little bit more of an ability to 5v5 than the Fiora that we saw from him in the first couple games.
Yeah, and I'm curious actually to see what T1 answer with here in terms of mid lane, because we've seen Faker, he's been willing to bring out the Assassins. He picked the Akali into the Azir in their first matchup. We have things like the LeBlanc, which we know Faker's famous for, or could lean back into the Victor, which we've been seeing come more and more in the recent days. But there's Owner locking in the Viego, which we've already seen him on.
Honestly, I would love a Poppy here from Blabber. I mean, I think Poppy is incredibly strong. You already have 2 dash champions. You already have a fair bit of physical damage. I think it can pair very, very well. Gnar would seem like a perfectly fine answer into the Aatrox. You know, definitely not a lane counter by any means, but something that can hopefully absorb that pressure and then look to 5v5. But I do think Poppy fits really well into the C9 draft and denies a lot of the picks that we've been seeing as well. Jax was that earlier option I was talking about. Jax, Camille are things that he likes to go to.
One of the things I love about both of these top laners, Zeus and Fudge, both of them only have 1 Aatrox game this entire summer. And this will be the second Jax. So you get the Poppy as well as the Jax. Well.
So I mean, everything as far as like I would predict for C9 going pretty according to plan. We'll just have to see if Fudge can really make it work here. You know, this is a guy that has extreme confidence in himself. You know, he said in an interview that he is the NA GOAT. Everyone just doesn't know it yet. He's going to get there. Faker, though, moving back to Lissandra. So this is more one of those facilitating picks. And it can allow them to have some very powerful skirmish power on the top side. You know, when you look at their 3v3, their 2v2s, can be pretty nasty in the early game with the amount of lockdown that this 3-man squad has.
And this Lissandra, 7th time played this summer since MSI. Only 3 wins for Faker, 3 losses. Tiny bit of hopium there, New York.
Yeah, still though, I actually like it into the context of what C9 have picked up so far. Not going to be able to be stopped by the Poppy with the W, as well as just very hard to pick things like the Akali we've seen him leaning into when the Poppy can cancel his dashes, and the Victor really hasn't been working out too well. So I like that T1 are leaning on hard early prio and playmaking.
Now, Zell, what are you anticipating from this bottom lane? I remember when we first saw Cloud9 talking about Sven's champion pool. Can he play those engagements? Nautilus looked okay in the laning phase, but then sort of fell apart later. I wonder what we're going to see today.
I mean, I definitely think he would be looking back towards, you know, one of those engaged champions, because I think some of the most powerful enchanters in the current meta are already banned out. We see the Renata taken away. We see the Yuumi taken away. Tom Kench is another comfort thing. So I do think we're likely looking towards some hard engage. I think C9's comp needs it as well. So Nautilus to me does fit in. You know, perhaps pairing along something like an Aphelios or you know, something along those lines, I think could work pretty well.
I actually think T1 are actually going to look for a bit of an Aphelios lane themselves. That's why I like Cloud9 taking away the Thresh. I think for T1 leaning into something that not only has, you know, a bit of range to play with the Calibrum, but brings some mid-game power once you get something like a Gale Force online, would be incredibly strong, since it looks like no matter how you pivot your draft now from T1, that Cloud9 definitely have the scaling angle.
Yeah, they definitely do, but I mean, Cloud9 does need engage in their comp. They don't have any sort of hard engage unless they're going to commit more to split push, which I don't really want to see from them, because it really hasn't been working out. So they do need a go button. They do have good scaling. Tristana would be interesting if it's paired alongside something, you know, that does have hard engage. You can even threaten the all-in these lanes. I'm just kind of curious to see what he would actually go towards, because we are kind of stepping outside of Sven's comfort a little bit.
I mean, we take a look at this Leona. This would be the first support Leona all year long for Sven. I believe professionally speaking as well. It is paired with the Tristana. It is what you were looking for, but Sven needs to deliver.
He absolutely does, and this is why I was a little bit unsure. You know, it is definitely a meta pick, but it's not really been his Sven pick so far this year. But this guy is an absolute workhorse in solo queue, in Champions queue. He's always grinding away, so I definitely have the faith that he can have under his belt. But this feels like Kai'Sa prio, you slap down that Alistar, so much pressure now on Berserker to actually buffer the rocket jumps properly to be able to actually get out of those, because the hard engage here is incredible from T1. Alistar going in, Lissandra coming over the top, Kai'Sa ults in to follow up.
Yeah, and you know, for that, the early and mid-game playmaking able to come out from them is huge. For the side of C9, I'm going to look at them to be able to play around the spot lane, allow Berserker to be able to get through laning phase just fine, hopefully set them up for advantages. And I mean, Fudge should be fine up in that 1v1 on top side.
Now, New York City, you see the team compositions on your screen. Who here in the Hulu Theater thinks that T1 will win this game?
No, Trevor. This is America. Who thinks C9 is going to take this game?
I have literal goosebumps from the volume in this crowd, and we've said it several times. There are battling fandoms. There are fans of every region, every team spread throughout this theater. Cloud9 on the verge of a 0-3 first round robin. But based on everything we were hoping to see from their draft, I I believe they've made those adaptations from the 2 previous games.
Absolutely. I do like what I'm seeing out of C9 a lot more. My biggest question is how Fudge will be able to hold up in that top lane. Going up against Zeus, one of the very best top laners in the entire world. And yes, Jackson scaled nicely into this matchup, but it does feel difficult in the early levels against that Aatrox. If Zeus is actually hitting those tippers, the knockups with the Q, you can get chunked out of this lane pretty easily.
Well, we're about to load up onto the Rift. My stats team has confirmed 100% first ever professional game for Sven on Leona, and he has a tough task ahead of him. Jensen staring down Faker. What will happen is I'm about to ... Can Jensen deliver on a tweet he made 6 years ago?
I feel like Jensen has to deliver in this game because one thing I'm looking at for C9 that's pretty favorable is they should have both Prio and Min and Bot, right? As you're going to push into Lissandra early. Berserker and Zven should be expected to do on the bot lane as well. So maybe you can set up for Blabber to play heavily around these lanes early on and start setting T1's comp behind where they can't really use the fact that you want to have Faker moving and roaming around the map.
I love the cowbell. We're 3 or 4 blocks away from Rockefeller Plaza, calling out one of the best SNL sketches of all time. I think Kerry and Sven, 2 players I will be keeping my eyes on throughout the course of this laning phase.
Absolutely, and when you call back to the can't wait to comp Faker tweet, it did not go well for Jensen after that. If I recall correctly, he was getting zoned in between the 2 towers by Faker after that one, so definitely looking for a better performance in this game. Blabber looking like he wants to invade and start enemy Raptors. It is a great strat on the Poppy. You clear through those Raptors very, very fast. I'm curious to see, though, will he commit to more of a split map situation, or is he just going to try to go Raptors to Raptors and try to defend his own bot side? Because those paths can be quite strong.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Blabber should head down and actually play with his bot side. Yep, he's going to be able to do it. He's going to set up Jensen quite well, but
can they actually defend it? That's kind of the question, right? Because Owner's already there.
Yeah, it looks like Owner should be able to get this one.
Blabber's going to be a little bit late to fight into the chickens. Going to be smited away, and Owner, small advantage already. Look at the minimap. Sven has already stepped up towards that tri-bush, but that's going to push this Poppy a little bit down. And when I think back to the draft, I think back to some of the tools available to T1. If you can keep Blabber down, that Champions Kit becomes significantly less powerful, assuming the rest of T1 will be able to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you get too far behind, you are going to be very squishy, but Poppy does always have that playmaking, and that's something that Blabber is always looking to go for. This is a guy that C9 has developed a lot of faith in over the years, and it's really fun listening to them talk about Blabber because they talk about how when Blabber makes a call, if you don't listen, Blabber's going to end. But if Blabber makes the call and you do listen and everyone goes with him, that he's almost always right with these calls. They've developed so much faith in his instinct for the game, and he's such a student of the game. It's basically all he thinks about, all he does, and he's one of those big stars for Cloud9.
And also, I just overall like what he's doing so far in the early game here with how he pathed from Raptors to Raptors, now matching Owner's pathing. But Owner might be able to find this one.
Oh, Fudge stepping forward and waiting to see what cooldown's available. Flash is still up, looking at the mini-map. Blabber's making his way into Owner's jungle. That's a leap forward. The third Q gets the knock-up. Counter-Strike will channel the stun by some time. Flashes into the tri-bush. Here comes Blabber. Leap across the ward. Fudge is out, but some misspell blown. Successful game.
Yeah, and Owner, I mean, looking for one of the plays that set T1 up for success in their season, right? All about playing around their top side. That's how they're able to beat EDG on day 1 too. But with Fudge able to get out, not able to get it.
It's Grabber, baby. We're on the board.
I completely forgot for a moment.
Trevor just looks so confused. Like, why are they cheering? Did I miss something?
I was listening to it, and then I looked at the name, and I'm like, sorry, sorry, Crabber, I did forget. Now he's pushing in the wave with the help of Fudge. That will be caught by Zeus, and instant back away from Cloud9.
But absolutely needed to do that, because the wave was actually in a pretty bad spot, and even though they do force a flash, Fudge was not going to be able to actually walk back in the lane and fix that himself. Blabber needed to get up there, reset the wave, allow Fudge to go back to base here and try to reset. Of course, he will have to be playing pretty safe, and I think that's one of the reasons that he does pick up a pink ward here. I think we're actually going to see him just sit on the pink ward and have that available for the leap strike on the retreat, because you are going to be pretty dependent upon that now that you are down your flash. But Faker moving down towards the bot. They should know he's coming.
Oh, Faker level 5. Tomb not available to him, but no further follow-up either. No stun from that Alistair, so Sven as well as Berserker able to back away. Just quick scan, CS is pretty even across the board, and with the exception of that flash being blown top lane, We haven't seen anyone picking up that first advantage just yet.
Yeah, still though, overall nice use of the window by Faker. Recall TP'd back to lane and it gave him that potential angle to move down towards bot side. But Owner just wants to keep invading these Raptor camp because he does have the timer, knowing when Blabber did walk up to start those and finish them himself.
Blabber has no smite, so it should be Owner's as long as he's willing to actually commit that smite to it here. And I don't think we're going to see any sort of a fight over it because Faker did have the move. He just cheated into that side lane brush very nicely. And that's going to keep Blabber away from actually committing to any sort of a scrap over it. So T1, doing a good job here, but we are treated to a pretty even early game thus far.
Yeah, no real significant advantages. A couple 100 gold here or there. All of the lanes thus far playing fairly reserved, I think, as you would expect based on the drafts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for the C9 side, for once, it's not concerning, right? When you look at the drafts in the previous two games, you were really feeling C9 had to snowball the game, had to get out to a big early lead. This time around, Tristana, Jax, Azir, you're chilling. As long as you're farming evenly, you're going to be pretty happy about your state in the game. But I am interested to see how Berserker handles a lot of these fights because he didn't take cleanse, and there is a lot of CC on the other team, so he feels like an easy target.
Yeah, and I also feel like T1 have done a good job of setting this up to put C9 in an uncomfortable position. We saw the lack of vision they have now, and with Faker hitting level 6, this is where T1's wanting to find windows to start making these plays on the bot side.
Oh, Alcove Gamer, Alcove Gamer, Alcove Gamer! The two-man knockup! First blood secured by Carrier, and frankly, I don't even know if bonus damage was needed.
Honestly, just great patience coming out from Owner to make sure that the play worked. I mean, not even having time to use summoners there from Sven, just instantly deleted down, and now T1's bot lane in a great position.
And if I can say, it's Sven's performance I'm the most interested in terms of the scaling, the team fights, the philosophy that helped Cloud9 pick up so many of their wins. It wasn't necessarily this look for him that was stepping up. Blabber once again, this time shadowed by Carrier.
Oh, Carrier just now spotted them, but they saw Carrier as well. So now Blabber's in an awkward spot. Here comes Faker. He does have ulti.
That's a very good passage over. The Claw of Doom comes out from Faker. Does he commit the flash? Holding on to it. Blabber gets knocked up into the air at least once and manages to waddle his way to safety. Flash blown.
It's just such a good read from Carrier. He knows we made a play bot. There's going to be an answer on the top side. Blabber was looking for the invade, and Zeus was in a spot where he would be vulnerable. But because Carrier is there, Faker has pushed mid. He makes the roam up. They cover Zeus, and they get that flash off the C9 jungler.
I also do believe that we saw Sven actually start walking towards spot lane before he reacted by going up.
Oh,
Berserker!
that was bold! That was confident from Berserker.
Well, he knew that Carrier wasn't going to be there. He just didn't expect that Owner would be coming in for a lane gank, right? And he would win that 1v1 pretty heavily, but it's a great read. Again, T1 are foreseeing what C9 want to look towards. First, they expect the gank towards topside. Carrier answers that. Then Owner says, all right, you're going to attack bot now, so he's there answering as well.
Fight, fight, fight! Infernal Chains pulls Fudge backwards. Zeus wants to eat him alive. Keep your eyes on this minimap. Carrier on the Alistar has picked up those boots of mobility. Part of the reason I think we're going to see him moving around the map and supporting the other lanes.
Yeah, but we see C9 now with Owner having just made that play towards bot side, knowing that he must have camps up, now getting full control over bot side. We do have Dragon up. We haven't seen too many teams opt into early Dragon still here at the World Championship, but if C9 can start stacking these up and again, give themselves a bit of insurance later on, that would be huge for them.
It would, but I think with Poppy, it's just such a long take on the Dragon that unless they get massive bot lane or mid lane prio, I don't think they're going to be willing to actually start that up. Owner will be spotted out, and you can see that C9 is cheating up towards mid lane, trying to be there in case there is sort of a play that Sven has to answer. But for now, I think C9 really are happy to just keep farming this out. The longer this game goes, while it is at relative parity, the better they are going to be feeling. But Jensen in trouble now.
Is indeed. Emperor's Divide by so much time. But just that Glacial Path as well as the W committed, and that will allow Jensen to escape. But crucially, the ultimate is not available. Cloud9 find themselves 1,500 gold down in the space of 2 or 3 minutes, and a significant amount of that is sitting in that top lane. A large CS advantage, as well as obviously first blood, but the man on your screen, Carrier, help picked up. Sven lands the Zenith Blade, flashes out to safety. Owner and Blabber stepping forward. The verdict is held for now. Poppy Copter backs out, and the fight fizzles.
I mean, Zeus is just doing such a good job up in that top lane, and T1, has been up there to help him, right? They get up there, they force out the flash with Owner, the wave's in a bad spot, that creates an advantage for Zeus. Then, when Zeus could be actually preyed on by this gank from Blabber, Carry is there as well. They know that this guy is going to make it work. if they give him the help, if they give him the coverage that he needs to really abuse the 1v1. And so far, he's doing just that.
Yeah, and again, all of this in my mind coming from Owner. Now Faker going to make the move, but even this comes from the fact that he went towards that mid lane, helped give him the chance to reset earlier on. It pretty much means that T1's laners will always have the first chance to move, and that they're going to continuously find these. With Rift Herald up right now, we see both teams sending all 5 members towards that top side.
That was a little scary to watch from Zeus. Just a simple pattern, trading into Fudge, clearing out that wave. We are 10 minutes in. Rift Herald is now being started off by T1. Look at the wave states. Jensen forced to catch in that middle lane. Fudge around 60-70%. And the call is a little uncertain. Back away, step forward, back away. They're not sure what they're doing.
I feel like C9 should not have even moved. Leave Berserker bot lane. Tristan is one of the best tower pushers. You
Pretty much the best.
You could have taken 2 plates bot for free. They make the move up here. They're not really sure if they want to commit. I just didn't feel like they had the setup to actually be able to do it. And as a result, they really get nothing here. Jensen will be pushed back, so it's an easy Herald. They can drop this mid potentially to try to, push out that Azir and take away that bastion of safety, but C9 committing resources to move and they get nothing for it.
Especially now when we were just hitting on that with T1 and how Owners played, it's pretty much always set them up to be first on the play. Had C9 cross map, that actually could have disrupted that timing, so now they could have continued to look for it as Fudge. Don't look for the all-in.
I mean, right now, that's a level advantage over Fudge. 2 levels over Blabber, and that's 3-4 times I've seen Blabber show his face top, and it feels like he's saving Fudge's life, just showing a presence to dissuade a dive.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw C9 trying to look for the lane gank, but even regarding that, yes, T1.
Here comes Faker. Here comes Faker. Look at that south quadrant. It is being shadowed, or he is being shadowed by Jensen. And Faker will turn his attention back to that mid lane. Blabber slowly making his way towards this bottom lane. And the 3-man stack of T1, they didn't fancy the fight. The wave was cleared out.
But just look at how much information T1 has, right? You have full control wards on top side. You just said all of T1's members leaning down to bot side jungle, and it pretty much means C9 have no entry points into these lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. And they still don't see Faker. He's actually recalling in a side brush, but they don't know where he is. So Blabber is here trying to hover. It will just be the charge for the plates. Won't actually be able to knock that down, but T1 really starting to open up a very solid gold lead now, 2,000 ahead. And they just have had such a good read on everything that C9 would be looking for. They preempted the plays, whether it's Owner, whether it's Carrier, whether it's Faker moving from the lanes. Anytime C9 would want to look for something, T1 is already there with the answer.
Now the question for me is, can C9 stem the bleeding and slow things down? This composition that they put together scales beautifully. There are a number of tools that they can use. The thing is, Cloud9 have not been able to answer Owner at all. He has gone where he pleases, done what he pleases, and taken every single person's flash pretty much across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the one thing going really well right now for C9 is Jensen, has incredible farm, up at 136 CS, 12 and a half, or a little bit past that into the game. So he's doing very well, has the early mythic completion, just buying him time, buying him that space. If he can really have a great team fight, they are going to have an opportunity, but Fudge is struggling in that top lane, and that's by far the biggest concern here. When you go into these carry versus carry matchups, you are skill checking these players, and Zeus is one of the hardest players in the world to do that against.
I mean, definitely, right? Coming in, everyone had him in 369 as kind of the 2 top names of top laners coming into the tournament, and he has shown why so far. Still though, for C9, I like what they're doing right now, to where if you at least have Sven and Blabber constantly hovering around mid lane and then matching what T1 wants to do, you can try and extend the game time as long as you aren't giving into those fights.
Absolutely. The only problem is, it's only kind of like slowing them down, right? They're never actually getting anything from their moves. So Sven and Blabber are committing so much time, and you touched on this earlier, Trevor. You're committing a lot of time to only save your top laner for a second. And then as soon as they back away, Zeus is bullying Fudge again, right? And that's the biggest issue here. Carrier is playing on the side. Berserker knows they could be around, so he's going to back it up, and that means first tower very likely going the way of T1.
And Azael, I love the proactivity of T1. It has been led by Owner's jungle invades time and time again for 12 minutes. Tower first blood secured now at 14 minutes. The gold lead over 3,000. there's been a Mythics advantage on the side of T1 for a while, but it does feel to me like their focus around slowing Blabber down in the early stages, invading the jungle, putting them behind, and look at this itemization difference. Thrift store shopping for Berserker into Kraken Slayer, and nearly second item completed.
And I think this is exactly when T1's comp really hits their stride, right? I mean, Lissandra Viego, we've seen this combo so many times before. One item, so much burst able to come out, the lockdown's there, and then the resets coming out for both champions. So even though C9 can slow them down, definitely going to have to start trying to find those opportunities across map.
Now, I will say, exactly as we talked a little bit about, Jensen on this Azir, he is up 25 CS. I think some of that movement from Faker has allowed Jensen to make sure in this matchup he has that small advantage. But this also puts a lot of pressure on C9's mid laner. Those Emperor's divides have to be crucial. Get rid of either Aatrox or Viego. Buy time to focus down the Lissandra or the Kai'Sa, because don't forget how easy it is to start fights, and Fudge is going to get destroyed. His heart is broken. The second kill for T1, and it lands in the hands of Owner.
And it just keeps going to show how well Owner is doing so far in this matchup. He really has been the standout, bringing T1 this victory. Now they're going to get another turret down. Gold lead extends even further. 5K in 15 minutes.
I mean, it's all out of control now. They've got to find some sort of a pick. We'll see if they can find Zeus here.
The recall just finished. The solar flare missed. The pin against the wall. Zeus is going to flash for safety, and Berserker gets the kill. The LCS and Cloud9 get one, but maybe at the cost of 1.5 or 2 turrets.
Yeah, it's at the cost of so much more. You know, you rotate your 5 members top to get a pick, but you're losing the mid tower. You're losing the bot tier 2, or at least it's getting very, very low. And this top gap has just become an absolute canyon. C9 are having to spend so many resources trying to keep Fudge in the game, but honestly, it's costing them the rest of the map, because every time they send people up there to try to help out Fudge, they're losing their jungle camps on bot side. They're losing towers everywhere else. And it's becoming a very, very difficult game to see Cloud9 clawing their way back into.
And sadly, it goes to what we set up coming out of draft, right? The fact that Fudge has leaned heavily on things like the Fiora in the previous 2 games, now playing the Jax. Honestly, maybe looking forward for C9, especially when you are in a group with people like Zeus coming in. You're going to have to lean on some weak side top laners and try and make it through these laning phases.
I mean, talking a little bit about the group, T1, Cloud9, Fnatic, they've got so much history. I mean, throw ETG in as well. At all time, Cloud9 have played T1 4 times previously. They are 0-4 against the organization. This is the 5th time they are facing off. And this is a incredibly precarious position. Now, obviously the game has been dictated and controlled by T1 significantly. We are playing for Cloud Rift right now. And for Cloud9, again, the same thing we said 10 minutes ago remains true. You need to slow down the pace of the game. Stop letting them get ahead. A second teleport's being channeled. Faker's making his way in. Blabber and Spin about to arrive. So far, 2 for 2. The Ring of Frost may cost Faker his life. He goes golden. Gumayushi is going to be backed up by Carrier. The Killer Instinct. That's 1. That's 2. Jensen pumped for a triple. Guma gets a quadra.
And we see Guma popping off. Faker able to buy so much time. They were able to pick up the Rift Herald as well. They're barreling down the bot lane. Zeus is also pushing in topside. They have everything.
Costa curses do not exist. T1 just obliterated that fight.
And that's about all she wrote, it feels like, for this one. T1 erased Cloud9 off the map. C9 really pushing, trying to find a play in the side lane. They can feel this game slipping away from them. But T1 was more than ready for the play. They have the extra man, and they punish Cloud9 tremendously.
Is that sort of an unforced error? Chasing us a little, feeling so much pressure, feeling so far behind, that Cloud9 threw everything out and unfortunately got countered.
I mean, it's definitely tough, right? You know, and it is an unforced error in the way that it's not as though T1 boxed them into this, but you can say T1 have put so much pressure on the map and have been really grinding them down, and that is what created that feeling of desperation. T1 has answered every play. T1 is playing the map better. T1 is playing the lanes better. And that is what really felt like it boxed Cloud9 into this situation where they feel like they've got to be desperate.
They really do. Of course, Faker teleporting in for a brief moment. I thought he was in trouble. Zeus about to solo Jensen. Emperor's Divide buys some time, enough for Owner to arrive. No flash available. Sand Soldiers doing work, and Zeus does not give a damn. the help of Honor sets that one up. I just briefly want to highlight, this is Faker's 100th game at the World Championship. Do you know how many he's won out of the 99 before? 71 of them.
I was gonna say, not too surprising for one of the most dominant player in League of Legends history.
I mean, it's just so incredible. To put that into context, you know, it's like almost 3/4 of his games against the absolute best players in the world. It's truly astounding, and to do it for as long as he has is amazing. Desperation time for Cloud9. They do find him knocking the wall, but Faker still has ult, he has flash, he has exhaust, he's in no trouble.
Self-casted, glacial path over. And the man has ice in his veins, as everyone knows. Looking to make it a 70-second win. It's 8,000 gold up, 2 dragons, 5 towers to 0. And Cloud9 are being bullied and pushed around the map. If you are just tuning in, I think a lot of credit to Owner in the early game. I think he really dictated the pace. Cloud9 never get a chance to start anything because Owner was in their face.
He was everywhere, but even after he got that first timing, going back to something that Azale was talking about earlier of choking them out, I really liked how they constantly would dedicate 3 or 4 members maybe down to bot, but have a majority of their vision up towards top side. It actually really did a great job of making it so hard for any cross-map plays to come out from C9 before they fell into such a gold deficit.
Well, to me, in so many of these games, you know, team play has been the name of the game. It's about how they, you know, facilitate each other, right?
Yep.
How they actually work together as a squad, how they're covering for each other's players every single time. They're one step ahead, right? You know, Keria reading and covering the gank on top, and then Owner knowing Keria needs coverage on bot for Gumayushi, so he's already there as soon as Berserker tries to go aggressive. And T1 has just done such a great job, and now 20 minutes in, they're just starting the Baron. They want to get this one over with.
Oh man, this is going so low. This is done. This is finished. They're going to finally burst it out, and C9 never get a chance to engage. The Solar Flare was held. They're down nearly 10. They are down 10,000 gold. Fudge gets chunked just a little. Glacial Path goes in. Insta-stun against the wall. Emperor's Divide as the Keeper's Verdict. Can Cloud9 win the fight?
Berserker.
Baron was secured. The stun doesn't land. Zeus escapes for now. The Buster Shot buys more time. Cloud9 are still alive, but not for long. Not enough. And they were smacked by T1's wallets.
Look at the health bars from T1 dancing in and out of the fight so incredibly well. Berserker could never get the reset. The T1 team fighting just incredible. Nearly a 12,000 gold.
What?
Guma absolutely popping off. Killer Instinct goes in, Q comes out, and Berserker just stood no chance.
What a phenomenal fight. I feel heartbroken for Cloud9. They pushed and held the line and every skill shot hit, but they are so far behind in the stats game, it ultimately didn't matter.
Yeah, they just don't have enough gold to really hammer it through. You know, I do think the fight is played out pretty well here. Berserker was free firing for most of it, but he's just so far behind that he can't actually finish anyone off. Zeus getting so much health healing there, not quite burst down. Jensen on the side getting taken out by Gumayushi, and Berserker, you know, he gets Owner very low, but then he gets a reset. Faker is living with no health. Keria is living with no health. They just can't quite finish off the T1 players to turn it around, and we're back to live, and we're back to watching C9 die again.
Now C9, I mean, just now really feels like nails kind of going into the coffin. Gold lead just too big.
They're already buried.
Yeah,
the coffin's sealed up.
Cloud9, I can tell you one thing. T1 took EDG down in 22 minutes and 50 seconds. So you've lasted longer than EDG, but not by much. T1 is pushing into the base as the Glacial Path is followed up. The Tomb is available, waiting for a target. T1 have got an inhibitor in the top lane, a turret in the middle lane, a turret in the bottom lane. A second inhibitor is falling, and this team looks unstoppable right now.
T1 just winning everywhere across the map. The team play has been immaculate. They have all the super minions now baroned up, and C9 not going to be able to prevent this push.
No, they're not. The Poppycopter's charging and held. A few more seconds are needed. A stun against the wall for Keria, and he taxis via Fudge to the Nexus turret. Faker still has that ultimate available to him. Baron, empowered super minions pouring into the base. All 3 inhibitors secure. The Solar Flare sidestepped by Guma. And T1 waltz out of the base, take 3 inhibs, 4 turrets, and explain nothing as they escape.
Well, C9 are down 15,000 gold, but bright side, there's going to be a lot of Supermanians to farm up, you know?
Maybe potentially going to see Berserker actually get to buy an Infinity Edge this game, maybe.
Yeah, I think T1 just about have this one wrapped up. C9 again trying to look for picks. It's all they really can do. We'll see if they can get Owner down.
Let's find out. Not just yet. The watch is stopped. The timer is started, and Berserker still can't do it. He can't get Owner. Wilmer's turning his attention now towards Fan with the back of a Faker, and Owner's going to continue to chase forwards. Fan will get melted. Berserker's going to hop over the wall and get chased down by the killer instinct of Gumayushi, and now
he wants the penta!
He's going for it. The pentakill. Guma's chasing. He's hunting. Where's the missiles? That's a leap forward. Vision is spotted. Blast cone over the wall. Carrier, you monster!
Carrier able to stop Fudge. They're still going for it.
Captain Rain. Look at the super move of the Nexus. Fudge is going to escape for now. The Winions take down Cloud9.
T1 able to show such an immaculate bounce back after losing to Fnatic yesterday. Again, the team play was on point. Owner especially completely dominating the map in the early game.
72 and 28. That is the win-loss record of Faker at the World Championship. 0-5 Cloud9 against T1. And despite the improvements, adaptation, changes to draft, ultimately T1's early game, and I think Owner really stepping up.
I think Owner was incredible, but to me it was even more about Zeus and how good this guy was in the 1v1. Owner, Carrier were able to enable him. Faker moving around the map.